best live stream intro ever. My audio device get messed up? Monitoring device, that's correct. Okay, that's weird. Something broke. I can't hear my own voice. It's still... Okay, that's the end of the song. Here it comes. Yay, welcome to the live stream, everybody. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. But my monitoring isn't working. But yeah. That's weird. I guess I'll solve that after the stream is over. Because apparently you can hear me. Oh, we got to do the old thing. I used to be so proud of myself because other streamers would be like, is the audio working, everybody? And I'd be like, nah, I got this cool monitoring setup where I can flip a switch and I can hear the stream audio. Not today. Not today. Don't know why. Doesn't matter, because here we are. The only thing that it does matter is that I didn't get pumped up by listening to the music. So now I'm just coming in cold. I have to get pumped up. Pumped up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, weird. I mean, the OCD part of me wants to now waste all of your time by attempting to fix it during the live stream, but I think that's not respectful of your time. And so we're going to try and make an entertaining stream instead. And we will do that by answering your questions about FPV. Oh, and we'll just... I'm not even going to wait, because Yosferos, thank you for a $50 super chat. Yosferos, the super chatter of the month, up to currently, I believe it's $1,050, if my math is right.
That's more than that, because he was donating before the 2,500s too. I know, because I'm editing the clips.
Oh. Yeah, but it was the 2,500s that really made his name jump out. I mean, why? Of course. Why not? Thank you, Yosferos, for your incredible generosity, and I hope that I hope you feel like, you know, your money is well spent. We're going to answer your questions. And yes, as you see there, one way to get me to answer your question is to leave a super chat. They don't have to be incredibly generous pink super chats. They could be smaller. It doesn't really matter. And we'll queue those up, and we'll get to those a little later in the stream. I will read basically all the super chats. That's, I feel like, my obligation as a streamer is to read your super chats. It doesn't mean I'll read anything you put in a super chat. There are limits. I'm human. But you can also just, you don't have to. You could just ask a question. You can just ask a question in the chat. Blunty will queue it up if he thinks it's interesting. I'll take it. And you can ask a question in the Discord. This is my Discord server over here on the right, full of my patrons. And they get to join the Discord server and feel extra special and exclusive. But in keeping with the incredible generosity of Yosferos, let's go ahead and just grab Yosferos. I'm saying it right. Let's just grab Yosferos super chat right off the bat. Now that I cleared out the O3 inventory and we have O4 incoming, thoughts on the leaks? Yeah, we will absolutely. Let's talk about thoughts about... Blunty, while I'm talking about this, can you also grab a picture of the new goggles that leaked? Because people will probably want to talk about that too. What we have is this photo of the O4 Air unit, which is widely being circulated as legitimate. It has a lot of sort of semblance of legitimacy. I would like to say that I am not part of any release program. I am not under any NDA. And that means that everything I'm about to say is complete, off-the-cuff speculation. But hey, what are you here for? My thought is it looks like it is 20 millimeters in size, just like gut checking it against the size of the camera. In fact, the DJI camera is 20 millimeters wide, and that camera looks about the same size as the O3, roughly. It says on it 1/1.3 f2.0, so people are asking what about the sensor size. It suggests it's a 1/1.3 inch sensor and an f2.0 aperture. God, I hope the mounting is the same width as the O3. Otherwise, it's going to be effing annoying having to come up with all new frames to mount the damn thing. But as we saw with the O3, people will just do it because it's going to sell like hotcakes. They've gone to a dual antenna on this one. The O3 also had a dual antenna, but there were two antenna elements in a single body, whereas this one is two separate antennas. A lot of people mounted their O3 that way anyway with aftermarket antennas. Nothing wrong with that. But this one seems like it's coming from the factory with dual antenna. Those do look like DJI antenna. It's hard to tell, but to me, this looks thinner. It looks thinner than like the O3. Hard to tell. Also says, where is it? It says Air Unit Light. Somewhere on here it says Air Unit Light, which suggests that this is a smaller version of the Air Unit and that there is a full-fat Air Unit. Who knows what the difference is? But and then as far as image quality and stuff goes, it's probably going to be the same as the Avata 2, which has the O4 camera in it, which is pretty damn good. Yeah, go ahead.
Just worth reminding everybody that the Vista was called the Air Unit Lite to begin with. So
well,
just
and it was a smaller version of the Air Unit, right?
Correct. Yeah, just thinking logically, that was a shipped smaller version. The only thing, we would assume this means O4 Lite because there's going to be an O4 normal.
Or maybe the O4 normal is the one that's in the Avata, and the Lite is the only one FPV people will ever get. And I only say that because always remember, and I remind myself of this with every DJI product release, when you look at a DJI product and you think, oh, you know what I bet? And you're kind of hopeful and wishful that doesn't mean DJI is going to do it. Like, because it seems obvious that it would be good for them to do it and seems like a natural thing for them to do, they oftentimes just won't do it. And you'll be like, oh, well, it seemed like they would, but they didn't. So, pricing, of course, we don't know. And software situation, don't know. OSD support, will it support iNav OSD? Haha, don't hold your breath. The other thing that we should talk about is, Blunty, you got the goggles? Yes, thank you, sir. We've got these new goggles. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, you wanted to get something in.
Yeah, I want to correct you. Yeah, this is the Pro, not the Lite. So. Oh,
this is the Pro? Where's the Lite?
Yeah. There's no picture of the Lite.
How do we know the Lite exists?
I do not know.
I know we know that, though. Maybe there was some other leak.
It's just what people have been saying. That's all I know.
So this is the full-size version. What would the Lite? Ooh, what if it was a 1S? It's not going to be. It's my opinion. Yeah. O4 Air Unit. Oh, Pro. You can see it says Pro right there. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think it says Pro, but I do agree that on the box it says Pro.
No, look. It says Pro.
Yeah, I don't read that as Pro. I don't think there's a back to the R, but maybe there,
Pro. Well,
like the second, like you see that there's no white line on the back, right?
What else would it say?
I don't know.
I do. Yeah, I think this tape or whatever is covering stuff up and messing it up. Anyway, we'll never know. Yeah, especially because the box says Pro, so therefore it stands for anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we've also got 280 or something. I don't know. Maybe it's production or something.
280. Yeah. We've also got the Goggles N3, which is a new inexpensive goggle. It's a single screen, so not binocular screen, similar to the V2 goggles. The V2 goggles had two separate large screens, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did. So this is a single screen, kind of like a box goggle, and compatible with the O4, and supposed to hit. What's the price point? We know we've heard rumors about 200. The price point. $200. $200.
Yeah.
That's hot if that's true. DJI coming in with if that's true, DJI coming in with a $200 goggle compatible with the O4 Air Unit. Because here's the thing. For a lot of people, the price of the goggles is the biggest sticking point. And in a way, it shouldn't be. Because if you spend $400 to $600 on the goggle, well, when air units are $150, $160 a piece, depending on how many quads you have, you can see that there's a break-even point where you're spending way more money on the air units than you are on the goggles. So in a way, honey, the goggles are, I spent $600 on the goggles, but when you see how much I'm going to spend on air units over the next year, you're not even going to notice that $600. Right? Yeah, that's how you sell it. But a lot of people get stuck on, they can come up with $150 for an air unit like today, but to come up with $400 or $600 for a set of goggles all at once, that's a much harder pill to swallow because it's just a bigger amount of money. If you could get a set of goggles for $200, that's going to make the system very appealing to a lot of people who will then save their pennies, bite the bullet, spend $150, $160. Well, let's not kid ourselves. The O3 Air unit was something like $220 when it first came out. I think it was even more than that at very, very first. So the O4 is going to be, I think, safe to say, over $200 when it comes out. And then it'll come down. But will the N3 goggles have compatibility with the O3? The G3 has compatibility with the O3. So O3s are coming down, and they're going to keep coming down further. There are going to be people who want to make the shift to digital, and they look at $400-ish for a Goggles X, maybe $350. What's the pricing on the Goggles X right now? Let's get it right. We have the whole internet. Walk-Snail Avatar HD Goggles X, $829. That's not right. $450 from Defiance RC. $450, yeah. So the Goggles X, $450. They're going to look at the HDZero goggles, $600-ish. Now, HDZero also has a budget goggle coming out, worth keeping in mind. But they're going to look at all the other options. Frankly, you can't get analog goggles these days as cheap as you can get a set of DJI goggles. Analog goggles are all $500, $600, a lot of them. And then some of them come down into the like $400 price point. But you know, they're going to look at these $200 goggles. They're going to go, well, that's for me. And then they'll figure out the air units later. This is gonna buy DJI a lot of market share. I think that's well, it's way too early to make a prediction. The product doesn't even excuse me. The product doesn't even exist yet. So I will refrain excuse me, from making predictions. But potentially this could be a really baller move. But people are saying, what about the ban? What about the DJI ban? There isn't a DJI ban yet. Not yet. There's a lawsuit. DJI isn't, Blunty, help me get the details right about this. DJI is like suing the federal government, saying their shit's being blocked in customs under the Uyghur Labor Abuse something Act. Is that approximately correct?
Yep.
So even though the DJI bans,
just point out, it's only specific drones currently. So it's like enterprise and commercial drones and like a couple drones like the Air 3. But so far it's only been specific drones. And yes, they have sued the Pentagon.
Ooh. Yeah, so they're claiming that even though these laws haven't passed banning DJI in various ways or tariffing DJI in various ways, that they're basically preventing them from being imported, and that's illegal. So currently, though, there isn't a DJI ban. There's no official policy saying that DJI, so there's no reason to think that these products won't make it into the U.S., at least as of this time. So, okay. Well, how about that? Meanwhile, Crom wants to know, and Crom, thank you for being a patron over there on the Discord server. Crom wants to know, do you have some insider info about the budget HDZero goggle? Is it confirmed that it'll reuse the monitor screen tech? I don't have that information, and I cannot confirm that. I do think that makes sense, that the budget HDZero goggle will take the existing tech from the screen and just put it in a box goggle. In fact, frankly, when the HDZero screen came out, I thought to myself, it sure would make sense to have this mountable in a box goggle, like that old Fat Shark goggle where you could just click it into and lots of the box goggles do that. You can take the screen off, you can put it on. I was surprised they didn't do that, and I expected, and maybe there are at this time, but there weren't at release time. I expected there to be like 3D prints and so forth. So that makes sense, but I don't know that for a fact. It's an interesting statement, Skytex, who says, if it weren't for external sources, you wouldn't be able to get Vistas anymore. What? What does he mean by external sources? Does he mean RunCam and Caddx? Because, like, the RunCam Link and the Caddx Vista are a 100% just made by DJI and then sold through them. Like, that's just a fact.
Yeah, just to be clear,
DJI still makes those.
Yeah, the Vista was always made by the same place. It just they just send the boxes to the companies. So
100%. Like that's as like no one. I don't think Caddx or RunCam have said that straight up, but like I feel like that's as factual as we could really get without someone just admitting it. Like it's really obvious that the Vista and the RunCam Link and the Caddx Vista are the exact same product as the DJI Air Unit Lite, and that they are and always have been made by DJI from day one. And it's for whatever reason DJI finds it expedient to let Caddx and RunCam sell them without DJI's name on them. Maybe because they don't have FCC certification. But yeah, it's not third parties making it possible for you to get those. It's DJI making it possible and selling it through a third party. It's not like RunCam went, well, now that DJI's discontinued the Air Unit Lite, we are going to make our own version. And then somehow it magically was identical in every way to the Air Unit Lite, all the way down to the chips on the board. That didn't happen. So let's just be clear about that. All right. Flaw17 says, I appreciate you're obviously US based, but do you or anyone else in the chat know of any good, reliable online FPV shops based in the UK? Yes. Let's see. Well, let's start with this Reddit thread. Because, like, I know some of that I know of, but I don't shop there, right? So I can't, like, if somebody was like, they suck, don't shop from them, you know, then I couldn't say. But, like, hobbyrc.co.uk is one. hobbyrc.co.uk. unmannedtechshop.co.uk is another one. Yes. And I guess we're just going to keep going down. I mean, if I'm going to trust the Reddit thread, I should trust the Reddit thread. yourfpv.co.uk. HobbyRC and Unmanned Tech Shop again. Got some discount codes here. 5% discount code. Ooh. All right. And then I know this is a little insulting, but I also just did a little Google search and found quadcopters.co.uk. I'm like, you could have done a Google search, but you didn't. You asked me. Unmanned Tech Shop, we got them. Who else? flyingtech.co.uk. I got to tell you, this website's not instilling me with a huge amount of confidence, but maybe it's a British thing. Maybe there's a tone here that I'm missing. Welcome to our new store. Go ahead and explore. If your website has work in progress on the front page, immediately, I'm not giving you my money. Immediately. Sorry. It's okay. Maybe that's a little harsh. I'm sorry, Flying Tech. Like, your website is always in progress. All right. It's constantly in progress. If it's not ready for release, don't release it. And if it is ready for release, just release it, and we know you're working on it. Drone Authority FPV, droneauthority.co.uk. So those are some. And here's whoopstore.uk. And again, I can't personally vouch for any of these as I don't shop in the United Kingdom because I am blessed to live in the greatest country on earth. I said it. But there you go. There you go. Super Deluxe, I do not secretly watch your videos. I overtly watch your videos. Or at least I would if I ever watched any FPV content. I mean, come on. Who watches FPV content anymore? Right? No one watches FPV content. See, look, I'm subscribed. Bardwell Mods Watch Party and Buck Rider's birthday on mushrooms. Are you having a watch party for my stream? If I ever you are watched any FPV content. I mean, come on.
I don't make FPV content anymore, Bardwell. I'm sorry.
Who watches FPV content anymore? You're at FPV content. No one watches FPV content. See, look, I'm
No,
subscribed.
don't.
Now we got a loop.
No, don't. Oh, he caught us.
The loop's coming.
No, don't.
Are you
Oh, fuck, he
having
caught
a
us.
watch party for
He
my
caught
stream?
us. He caught us. Quick.
you
Act
are.
like there's nothing happening. Act like there's nothing happening, guys. Nothing. Nothing.
Sorry. Who watches FPV content anymore?
Don't.
All right, I gotta click off. It's gonna create a loop, an audio loop that's gonna drive everybody crazy. All right. Subi asks, Happy Monday, everybody. JB, are there any GoPro fixed mounts that would have a Velcro strap on top or something instead of just being a solid piece of TPU? I left some nasty marks on my GoPro 12 and don't want the same for my 13. What? I'm not really following what you're asking there. GoPro fixed mounts that have a Velcro strap instead of being, you mean like just like a couch? Like just an angled couch with a GoPro with a battery strap? I mean, yeah, that exists. I got to tell you, the fixed mounts are the way to go, man. We graduated away from the battery straps into the fixed mounts because they protect the GoPro, they hold it more securely. It feels to me like you're going backwards. How did you leave marks on your GoPro 12 where a Velcro strap would like fix it? I'm not following. But yeah, you're talking about just like they're commonly called like a couch, where it's just like a wedge with a slit for a GoPro for a battery strap. Maybe I'm missing what you're asking, Subi. Subi is typing in the Discord right now. Let's give Subi 1 second to reply and maybe clarify what Subi's asking. Not a couch, but a shell without a top, where I drop a GoPro in and strap it with Velcro to prevent it from getting out. I mean, no, but let me give you an. I was going to say it would be easy to just chop the top off an existing GoPro mount, but you'd need a channel. It'd be tricky. I think you could do that in SketchUp. Because, like... Hang on. Let's take a stab. I'm not going to, like, spend 15 minutes on this. Blunty, don't let me spend, like, 15 minutes on this. I don't want to. But... like, I feel like with a little bit of work in SketchUp, you could make this work. How about... not that. Yeah. Like... could you take this... where's my files? You could easily take an existing mount. Hello, hello. Where's Orca Slicer? I know it's coming.
Dahari put one in the Discord. It's worth looking at. It's a different solution for our wig.
That wouldn't be as fun as me trying to do it the hard way. Okay, but we'll look at that shortly. So, like, it would be really easy. What we're going to do, we're going to take this, and what we're going to do is we are going to lay on face, and we're going to lay it on this face so it's facing down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the slice tool. There we go, cut tool. And we are going to cut off the top. Just
we are
about
not doing
like
politics in chat. Everyone is not voting for their president. Please stop. Thank you.
if we cut the top off like that, right, and then we will do not keep the lower part, only keep the upper part, and perform the cut. Boom. Now we've cut the top off, right? So then all we need is the channel. And I think we would have to go to like SketchUp to do this, because I don't think we can do like a subtraction. Maybe you can, but I'm not. That's what I'm not going to spend 50 minutes. But you would just need to get a channel, like a rectangular channel cut right here, you know? And then you could kind of make it work, right? I don't know. Feels like you could kind of make that work with just a little bit of work. Now, having tried to do that the hard way, what do we got in the chat? Check my mount like that. Joseph Dahari. Joseph, you got to give us the STL there, buddy. Yeah, that's like what he's asking for sure. Yep, a little slit there for the battery strap. 100%. Where's that, you know, peep that STL. But yeah. Oh, you're getting marked up by inserting and removing the GoPro. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, all right. There you go. Captain W102 says, I'm interested in buying your beginner build kit. Oh, that's awesome. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of a cold over the weekend. My kid went to an event with a bunch of other kids, and you all parents know how that ends. What you're talking about is not this. They should really like 503 those, or whatever it is. They did fix the search results, though, for which I'm very grateful. You're talking about this, and you're saying, well, what receiver, goggles, and controller? Well, receiver is not included. Please see options under recommended. If we just zoom in here, you can see as we scroll down, we've got a recommended battery charger, recommended goggles. Personally, interesting that they're choosing the Dominator. Where's the Skyzone Sky 04X? Yeah. Which goggle you pick is going to depend a lot on your budget, but any of these would be a solid choice. And as for the radio, I use the Radio Master Boxer in the video, so that's my suggestion. But you can obviously, any Edge TX radio will work. Okay, let's catch up on the super chats. We have we got quite a few super chats. Sorry for putting you off so long. We're gonna go through super chats until I run out of super chats. So if you're looking for your question to get answered, maybe a little more promptly, leave a super chat now, and I will read only super chats until I clear out all the super chats. It's like a race. Can I fulfill the super chats faster than you can leave them? Ooh. Ooh, let's find out. Svetlin Simoniov, thank you for 20 BGN. BGN. Bulgarian? I don't know. What is the proper orientation of the original Radiomaster Boxer TX antenna? It doesn't matter if it's oriented horizontally or vertical. And it's a good idea to replace the stock antenna with the Moxon antenna. The stock antenna is an excellent antenna. There is no reason to replace it. You should get more range than you could possibly need under almost all circumstances out of that stock antenna. As far as horizontal versus vertical goes, the answer to that is that for long-range flying, it's a good idea to have the antenna on the radio match the orientation of the antenna on the drone. So if the drone is vertical, like you've got an airplane wing with an antenna sticking vertically out of it, then you would want it vertical. If it's horizontal, like it's out back the back of a drone, and it's horizontal, you would want it horizontal. The reality is that, especially for drones, where the drone is often tilting and rolling and flipping and upside down, the orientation often doesn't match anyway. So, and a lot of people are really not flying long enough distance that matching the orientation, it makes a noticeable difference in their range. They're not really at the edge of range anyway. The Moxon antenna is a little bit higher gain, so it's going to have a little bit more focused pattern sort of out front of you. The idea of the stock antenna is it has a circular pattern, so you could basically fly all around yourself and have basically equal range in all directions. With the Moxon antenna, it's a little bit more focused out in front of you. The idea is that you'll be facing the drone, and if that assumption holds, then the Moxon antenna will give you a little better range, although again, many people are not really going to hit the edge of their Express LRS range anyway, so the Moxon antenna is bigger, it's a little bulkier, and it's a little bit more of a hassle, so you may as well just stick with the stock antenna. I will show you. Can I show you? Can I? How proud I am? Look what I did the other day. Oh, this is my Radiomaster Boxer Crush, and I love my Boxer Crush, but I'm not actually a gigantic fan of the stock antenna. It doesn't fold well. It doesn't fit in my backpack well. I found a 3D print that lets you mod the Radiomaster Pocket antenna. Oh, as Unreality says. You mod the Radiomaster Pocket antenna onto it, and now you have a nice folding antenna. Ooh, that's hot. That's hot, boys. This is the hot pink, not the cherry red. It's the hot pink, naturally. And I don't know, does anybody know if this is a wire antenna or a PCB antenna? Anybody know? I don't know. If it's possible this is giving a little reduction in range, but I don't give a damn. I'm so happy with this. And people say, make a video about it. Hang on. So I was gonna make a video about it. And then I found this tutorial. Let me make sure I've got the right one. Let me make sure I've got the right one. Yeah, I found this tutorial from Sei FPV. And I was like, this dude already made the better tutorial than I would make. So rather than just follow this guy's tutorial, then make my own version of basically his video, adding nothing to it except my beautiful face and shining personality, and then publish it and get all the views, and then he'd be like, Bardwell stole my video. Or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd never know. I thought I should just refer people to his video. So this is it. Sei FPV, SEII FPV, Radiomaster Boxer folding antenna mod. And if you want to do that mod, which I love it, that's what I would use. You download this 3D print. Does it have links to the prints? Where are the prints? Yeah, here we go. Here's the swivel adapter. Right? Printables.com. Yeah, that's the exact one I used. And just follow his guide. It's great. And I'm not gonna just steal somebody else's content, clone it with my own voice, publish it, and take advantage of the fact that I have a bigger audience to, I was just like, that's not the right thing to do. So there you go.
These days, the creators just watch the other video on stream.
Yeah, this is
post that.
yeah. Bardwell reacts to Say Ye Builds Radiomaster Boxer Folding Antenna Mod. Then I just publish it to my channel. I just sit there like this and drink a soda. That's good. That's good. Yeah, no, he's right. And I just do that for 15 minutes, republish it. Boom! One ad every 2 minutes. And I'd get 20,000 views and he'd get 2,000 views and I'd claim that I was transformative in nature. No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, highly recommend if you have a boxer. Okay. Here's the thing, though. I can plug this all day long, and he's not going to get 20,000 views on that video. As good as that video is. That's just not how YouTube works. And so there is an argument that the creators who are doing the reacts, when Asmongold releases a video and it gets 10 million views, and the original creator's video had been up for 6 months and had 10,000 views, that video was never going to get 10 million views, no matter what. So did Asmongold really steal from him? I think it's an interesting question without a necessarily clear answer. And I think that when there's a chance that someone who is powerful and famous is taking advantage of someone who is less powerful and famous, then we should default to fuck the powerful and famous guy, he's a dick. And we should protect the less powerful people. But I do think there's an interesting question, and it's not as clear cut as people like to think it is. Anyway. Yeah. Any advice for my first build with ArduPilot? Thank you for a $2 super chat. Yeah, I do have a piece of advice. Except, yeah, is this it? Yes. And this has existed for a little while. I only just became aware of it. And I got to try this out. There's a new tool, relatively new, newish, shall we say, newer than ArduPilot, called the Methodic Configurator, and it is a configuration tool for ArduPilot. And basically, it walks you through the configuration of your ArduPilot in a way that's easier than just you having to follow a tutorial. And I've actually thought about taking my ArduPilot multi-rotor that I built a little while back and bringing it back because people were like, oh, you didn't configure it right. I'm like, I followed the tutorial. And they're like, you did. It's like the meme of the two motorcycle guys shouting at each other's. Right? I followed the tutorial. You didn't do it right. And take it back and see. Oh, my God. That's what I get for having emotions. Run it through this and see if it does a better job. My recommendation is, if you're doing an ArduPilot build, you should download this tool and use it to do your first configuration. Because apparently, it'll keep you from making dumb mistakes that make people on the internet yell at you. Say you're stupid. They didn't say I was stupid, but it was implied. All criticism, any criticism, no matter how mild, is an accusation of near mortal significance. Global source. I don't know, man. That's interesting. I don't think it's clear cut. And I'm not going to weigh in on any specific instance, but I don't think it's clear cut. Reactions siphon views permanently unless the reaction channel is smaller or equal size. I don't think so. I don't know. Like, if Aspen Gold was to do a reaction to one of my videos, I would be thankful.
Because you know that for sure. You know that. You've seen other videos where they've had siphon numbers, and you've compared the numbers to Aspen Gold numbers.
I'm not saying that they never siphoned. No, they absolutely siphon. I can think of an example recently. It's the original. You know the song where it's He-Man and he's singing along, and it's set to "What's Going On" by Four Non Blondes, and it's He-Man. There's an original version of that animation that no one clicks on. It has like 2,000 views because someone did like a ripped version of it, modified it slightly, and that version has 10 million views, and it's the one everybody knows about. That's really unfair to the original creator. I'm not saying there's definite cases where people watch the reaction video and it siphons views. I'm not saying it never siphons views. I'm just saying it's not a given that in every case the reaction is negative for the original creator. And each case kind of deserves to be taken in its own merits. And of course, if the original creator says, no, that's my content, I don't want you reacting to it, I think you're hurting me, then that should take precedence. But like, you know, I mean, the best case scenario, do you know the Your Daily Dose of Internet, that guy? I don't even know if I think he's still popular. My kid used to watch him. I found out he licenses all his content. It's just Daily Dose of Internet. It's just little 15-second, 10-second clips of shit happening all over the internet. And I'm like, this guy's ripping everybody off. Turns out he licenses every single clip. He just pays the creators, contacts them. He has a whole team working for him. That's the way to do it. You know, it's just to license it. But, yeah.
I watched a video on this recently. I don't remember the creator's name. I watched him on a couple other things when he popped back up on my feed about it. But basically, he had a video that people watched on Aspen Gold's channel. He tracked the views, and he showed that it basically hurt his channel. He can show the dip where it would normally go up. But basically, what he was saying is that, you know, he's talked to a lot of other people that have had their content used in the same way, and they don't mind the content being watched. They just want YouTube to recognize it in some way. So the real answer would be that YouTube allows you to flag that you were reacting to a video and then share some kind of creation like revenue, and or also like the problem is the algorithm doesn't care about the revenue, right? So you could also do like some kind of feeding of mixed watch time, or, you know, some other way to mix the metrics enough to make it fair for both creators, you know?
Yeah, no. I get. Here's what I would say. If the guy, let's say that you are 1/1000th the size of the guy who's reacting to you, at that point, unless this is like your one viral video that's breaking out and he sucks the life out of it. If for some reason a creator with 10 million subs decides to react to one of my videos, like that video was going to get 10 or 20,000 views to begin with. It wasn't going to make me that much. And so that to me seems like a net positive, as long as it brings me some attention. Maybe it gets me some subs. I don't know. Maybe it just wrecks my analytics because all his people come start trolling my comments. I don't think it's clear cut. But then I think there are cases where maybe they're 10 times your size or 20 times your size, and you have the potential to sort of get on their level with a particularly good video, and then they suck the life out of it. I think there's some, I don't know. Anyway. Here we got a $10 super chat asking for some help on a cinematic build. What's the best lightweight and cheapest 4K camera and gimbal? What's the best KV motors? By my guesstimate, 2,000 to 3,000 gram build with a battery, thinking 8S 5,000 milliampere. Hold on, back up. That's like saying I'm thinking about a car and I feel like it should weigh about 4 tons and have a V8 engine with about 5 liters of displacement. Whoa, you're way ahead of yourself. You want a cinematic build. What camera do you intend to carry? What type of flying do you intend to do? You're putting the cart way ahead of the horse. You think the build is going to be 3 kilograms, but you haven't told me what you're going to do with it yet. Right? You think it should be 8S? Okay. What prop size are you using? You're way ahead of yourself. You have to start with what you want to do with the drone, and just saying cinematic is not the answer. Right? You want a cinematic build. You got to tell me, are we chasing cars? Are we going 60 miles an hour? Are we going 100 miles an hour? Are we flying down mountains? Are we flying inside a house? You carrying a Red camera? You carrying a Komodo? You carrying a Sony Z-Cam? You carrying a GoPro? What, there's too much that we don't know. What's the best lightweight, cheapest 4K camera? If you're talking about a Cinelifter, 2 to 3 kilograms. It could be a Cinelifter. 3 kilograms is about in the range of a Cinelifter. Red Komodo is the most common sort of not a full-on cinema cam, but good enough to get the job done. Sony Z-Cam is another popular one. I think Red Komodo would be what I would recommend. If you want a gimbal, Cinelifter, it doesn't have a gimbal. Well, an FPV Cinelifter doesn't have a gimbal. There are companies that make Cinelifters that basically have a gimbal underneath them. You're way out of my scope, though. If you're talking about a cinema gimbal to carry like a Komodo, I couldn't even begin to recommend that for you. And you say 4K, but DJI Ronin, I mean, that's a name I know exists, but I certainly can't recommend it. Cheapest 4K camera, GoPro. Okay. GoPro will get you okay results. Yeah. And then if you're building a Cinelifter in the 3 kilogram range, I think you need to be 12S. Because you're going to be talking about 10 to 13 inch props. And at that point, 8S 5,000 milliampere, no. We're talking like 12S 8,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 milliamp hours. I don't. Ciati has a good point. If you have to, hey, I want to build a 3 kilogram Cinelifter. What's the cheapest 4K camera I can put on that? Like, maybe you shouldn't build a Cinelifter today. Okay. If I have completely misinterpreted your question and you feel like sometimes I get off on a tear in response to a question, and then the guy who asked the question contacts me via email and they're like, no, you got the wrong vibe entirely. If I have completely misinterpreted your question, please email me and be like, hey, it's me from the Cinema Builds Super Chat. Here's what I meant. I don't want to blow off your question by going off on a tear, and if I've gotten it wrong, then you should let me know. But yikes. The way this question is worded is concerning. PRF, thank you for a $5 super chat. My 2.5 inch starts jumping after arming. Yeah, take off. Take off. Sometimes they do that. It shouldn't start jumping before you raise the throttle, though. After a few arms and disarms, OSD disappears and Betaflight is unresponsive. Oh, your flight controller is effed. You need a new flight controller. I'm sorry. Yeah, if your flight controller just becomes unresponsive, if it just becomes unresponsive spontaneously, you need a new flight controller. Plenty, why are people like that? Right? Why are people like that?
I have no idea, man.
I think that there's more layers of depth to that question and answer than than we could really sum up. I saw this poem. This has nothing to do with the super chats. To refer to the question, why are people like that? I saw this poem this weekend. You guys aren't ready for this. Really, really hit me, and now I'm going to share it with you. And really, you were just having a good time, and now like you're going to like go, like quietly shed a tear. Why are people like that? There's a question I had with my wife, which is whether the ending of this poem is hopeful or not. Like whether the speaker means it at the end of the poem when they say, you could make this place beautiful, or whether it is the same misplaced optimism that their parents had for them, generation after generation of people trying to basically lie to their children that the world could be better than it is and having it not turn out that way. Or maybe this is the generation that'll really pull it off. I argued that it was misplaced. That it was basically just a fairy tale for the child to make them feel good until they grow up and find out it's not true. She thought it was hopeful. I don't know. Anyway, if you can't be bothered to read it, that's fine. Don't read it. Anyway, why are people like that? I don't know. Dave T, thank you for a $5 super chat. Considering a digital whoop, 65mm currently analog, the new AIO5 is appealing, but I don't have HDZero. Worth is subjective, sure, but ups and downs. Well, I mean, if you want a 65mm digital whoop, then the AIO5 is I think the best way to do it today, no question. But do you want to commit to the HDZero system to get that experience? It's hands down better than the analog experience. In terms of the video quality, yes. In terms of the range, meh. It's comparable. A little shorter battery life, I think. In terms of worth it, I think that the AIO5 is the closest to a no compromises digital tiny whoop compared to analog that has ever existed. There's a small compromise in terms of weight. You can get an analog down to 16, 17 grams. The AIO5 is just a little heavier than that. And a small compromise in terms of battery life. But much better video quality. But you gotta, then you're like, okay, do I want the HDZero goggles? Do I want the there's a little bit of a commitment to buy them that money. The HDZero goggles are great analog goggles. So you could say, oh, I'm getting new analog goggles at the same time. Hey, Witch Cat, I appreciate that I've missed your question several times. I don't know the first thing about the Icon 3. If you're looking for a sub 250 3-inch, sub 250 3-inch. I don't know. Siadi, you here? Siadi, what's a good sub 250 3-inch? What do we got?
Just a reminder for the chat. I can see all your entire chat histories. You could just click on a chatter and see channel activity. So I know how many times you asked something and what streams you asked it in.
Mm-hmm.
Just to think about that.
Yeah. Let's see. They still make the Smart 3.5? No. Out of stock. What about the Phantom? They don't make the Phantom anymore. They got the Dolphin. What about the Gepard C? What's a sub 253? What's a good sub 253 inch these days? Bind and fly. Yes, Yachty, bind and fly. He wants a bind and fly.
Done with that. We've got another use for a bomb.
Use for us just powering. The Volator 3 inch, is that a bind and fly? And is it sub 250? Freestyle frame kit. I don't think that's a bind and fly. No. The Volator, he wants a bind and fly. He wants a bind and fly. While Ciati works on that, let's continue. Thank you, Ghost, for another massive 42069 super chat. I appreciate your generosity as always. I am befuddled by it. I've been fine all day. I swear to God. It's because I'm talking a lot now. And thank you for your generosity, sir. Yosforos asks, excluding PIDs, rates, OSD, failsafe, are there any other beta flight settings you find yourself regularly changing on your quads? I would say I change PIDs less than you would think. Rates I set on every one of my quads. OSD on every one of my quads. Aux modes. You left that out, but I think it's implied. I set the RC rate. The RC to whatever my RC link is. Small angle set to 180. I usually turn the motor beeper on if it's not already on. There's another option, which is the... Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It's the option that makes you report your battery voltage as your cell voltage in telemetry. If you're ever using telemetry, you will get 3.8 volts, 3.7 volts instead of 16.9 volts. Darwin FPV Baby Ape. That's a good choice. That's solid. Not too expensive either. That's interesting. Yeah. Those are the things I generally change. Steve Ray, thank you for $2.79 Canadian and for your support and thanks on my EdgeTX tutorial. Virus Jack says, thoughts on the newbie drone Hummingbird 3.1 race spec. Thank you for $5. Yeah, I'm excited. I actually just got this in the mail today, and I'm excited to try it out. It is one of these, a new one of these 16, 17 gram racing whoops. This seems to be the new standard. It used to be about 19, 20 grams. Now it's like 16, 17 grams. And I'm excited. Wait, no. That's not the race spec. That's 21.4 grams. That must be the beginner version. Race spec. Yeah, there you go. That's the one. And if you think 2 or 3 grams doesn't make a difference in how it flies, it definitely does. At this size class, 2 or 3 grams is a massive amount of weight and significantly affects the flight performance. 0702 30,000 kV motors, Betaflight CAC firmware on board, 48K BL Heli, or probably Blue Jay, I would think, 25 milliwatt VTX. Does it go above 20? It's the race spec, so you shouldn't need more than 25, but not everyone flies races all the time. It would be nice to have higher output power. Maybe it does. I don't know for a fact that it doesn't. A very, very nice package. A30 power connector. Fantastic. Yeah. It ticks all the boxes. Does it have standard OSD? Or does it have that software OSD that's kind of shitty? Ciati? I wonder if Ciati knows. I bet he does. It doesn't say anything about the OSD. Guess we could look at the flight controller and try and see if we see the OSD chip. Yeah, and then at a price of $90. Mighty tempting. I think it's right in there with like the Beta FPV Air 65, for example. Similar price, similar weight, similar specs. Well worth a look, and I'm looking forward to trying it out.
It is the classic newbie drone issue. They're using newbie drone OSD. It's a custom target.
Damn it. I'm so sad to hear that. But they got the CAC firmware.
Yeah, they made a custom version of that. And it does not work with the Namino ELRS module currently because their implementation of ELRS.
With the what ELRS module?
Namino.
Oh, well, who's using that? Anybody using that?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess somebody does. Okay. But it works with every other Express LRS? Man, that's a shame. I know why they do it. It just creates annoyances for their customers and me. Oh my goodness. I'm going to complain about that when I review it. Double Deuce FPV says, I've got long, beautiful lashes that tend to touch my HDZero lenses. What's your favorite aftermarket face foam? The Newbie Drone. The Newbie Drone Max Comfort on all my goggles, hands down. Carson, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm getting a Nazgul F5 V2 soon. I'm looking for battery or action cam combos that keep weight and flight time reasonable. $30 or less per lipo, ideally. Honestly, if you are getting... Man. If you're getting the digital one with an O3, which I'm going to guess you're not. I just have a feeling from the way you've worded this question that you're not. But if you're getting the digital version with the O3, don't run an action cam. There's no reason to. Unless you're doing cinematic shit. Like, the O3 is more than good enough for putting your awesome stuff on YouTube. You're not going to do any crazy color grading, probably. If you're moving up to real cinematic shit where you want color grading and 4K, okay, then get like a GoPro. No compromise. But the best thing to do to save weight is to leave the action cam off. Think about it. Think about it. You're trying to do awesome shit. You're crashing. You're breaking a $400 action camera. It adds 200 grams of weight. Why not just record DVR? Oh, my DVR looks crappy. Well, nobody's watching your content anyway. Save yourself the money and the weight. And I say that as someone who regularly spent $400 on a GoPro to put up flight content that nobody watched. I get it. I'm just trying to be the voice of reason here. As far as keeping weight...
to break.
Yeah, it's less stuff to break. Your quad will fly better. As far as keeping weight and flight time reasonable, GoPro thumb? I mean, not GoPro thumb. RunCam thumb? It's okay. I mean, I would, if you're going to run an action camera, I probably would run a GoPro because it's going to give you the best results and the best footage. You know, if you want high definition footage, then you probably want good footage. Get a GoPro with a Best Buy warranty and just bite the bullet, or don't run it at all and just record DVR. The Donnie Llama, thank you for a $10 super chat. I have a Foxeer T-Rex analog camera and the GepRC Mate 10 Pro. I am not getting Betaflight OSD. The number one thing that, I mean, you check your wiring. Somehow maybe you've wired it wrong, so you're bypassing the flight controller. I assume you wired it correctly. The other thing to check is the NTSC and PAL setting, both in the flight controller and in your goggles. You want to make sure that the NTSC PAL setting is correct. The simplest thing you could do is go into the camera menu and change it from NTSC to PAL or vice versa.
Also, a reminder that you may have flashed without the OSD being detected, so you may need to add the OSD chip in the build.
That's good. Let's just, yeah. I was waiting for you to say that, Plenty. Yeah, that's it. Oh, my goodness. So here in the firmware flashing screen, if we just choose a target, any target, we can see we've got the build options down here, and one of those options is OSD. Let me zoom in on that. And if somehow you manage to delete the OSD build option, then what is happening would occur for you. In addition, I guess it's worth checking, as long as we're being exhaustive. Here in the configuration tab, there is an option here which will turn off the OSD. And if you've done that, you won't have an OSD. So, all things to check.
And also, I was also saying, like, you can also have the OSD chip not included, as far as I know, in the build, and you have to manually include the OSD chip.
Oh, I guess that's possible.
If it's not in the target properly.
Are there any targets that really do that? I mean, I guess it's...
I mean, with all these random AIOs, I can imagine. So
it's possible, I guess. Romeo Bonner, thank you for a $20 super chat. I've recently built a Nazgul 5 V3 with 6S batteries. I flew it for the first time a few days ago and all was fine until I did a power loop. The drone started beeping and went into low power mode. What is low power mode, Romeo? What is low power mode? Do you mean your ESCs went into low power mode? Romeo Bonner, if you're out there. It did not have power. Okay, so if you've turned temperature protection on in your ESCs, turn it off. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. Temperature protection, low voltage protection, any of that nonsense. Turn it off. You don't want that. But you would have had to turn that on, because I don't think there's any ESCs that have that on by default. Unless you're using some oddball ESCs. I don't think you are. You built a Nazgul.
There was some issue where, remember how there were clone MCs getting shipped and they were triggering temperature protection on the ESCs? That was either from them shipping ESCs with the temp on, or it was from people flashing and wiping the config. I'm not sure which thing happened.
They were diatone ESCs, I think. They had a clone MCU, and they shipped with temp protection off because they didn't have a temperature sensor. So they always reported an invalid temp. And then when people flashed them, temperature protection defaulted to on, which is silly. And then as soon as they flashed them, they started going into limp mode.
Okay, so it's worth considering. Maybe if you updated, it could also have done something like that.
Yeah. So people are talking about the video transmitter. He said low power. It didn't have much power. We assume you're talking about the motors. Are you talking about the video transmitter or the motors, dude? When you say it didn't have power. Motors, okay. Check your ESC. Make sure temperature protection is off in the ESC. Squirrely wants to know, do you know who Thunderfoot is? He sampled you in his latest video to demonstrate drone technology. He's awesome. No? Now, fellow YouTube creators, what is the first thing I'm going to do when I go to Thunderfoot's channel? Fellow YouTuber creators, those who know the biz, I'm about to click on this guy's channel. What is the very first thing I'm going to look at? You know what it is. It's his sub count. All YouTubers must sniff each other's butt by checking each other's sub count the minute that they meet. 1.06 million subscribers. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm immediately interested. If I see that a guy with 1 million subs sampled me or talked about me, oh, I'm interested. Okay, Thunderfoot. Which video did he sample me?
The newest one. It's like
we're in dangerous ground here, Blunty.
Yes, we are. It's like 11, 13 minutes, somewhere in there. You'll see your face.
I will.
I think it's before that. There you go.
Oh, hey, look at me. Well, I guess I can play his content
Or the
without
fact
getting...
that we've been delivering munitions with pinpoint accuracy since the last millennium.
Used alongside the long-range tomahawks.
This is on the front end of the weapon itself.
Nowadays, this is just consumer-grade electronics.
There's the Nano, which is like freaking tiny. There's the Mini Pro, and the difference, the Pro has a much larger antenna, and it has a built-in compass. You have storage. You can see that even the very, very tiny one, I don't know if you can see, there's a little battery there.
Such that you can get a commercial...
What an odd thing to sample. I don't really feel like that added a lot to the video.
I think he's trying to show the ubiquity of small GPS to people who don't understand that.
I guess.
That's my impression of the snippet.
I'm going to copy strike him. No, I'm not going to. I don't care. He didn't even credit me. Did he credit me? He didn't. Oh, this dude. Okay. This dude used my content. Didn't even put at Joshua Bardwell YouTube. Literally a title saying at Joshua Bardwell is the minimum courtesy. That's apparently not how you do a copy strike.
No, you go to the studio panel and pull the automatically detected footage.
I cannot believe 1 million subs. He did not even... But how many views did he siphon from me? None. That didn't cost me anything. I don't really feel like it added a lot to the video, frankly. I would take that out. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Melted Cheetah. Pavo20 with DJI goggles V2, RC2, drops out of the sky suddenly, sometimes says failsafe in OSD. Well, if it says FS, which means failsafe, it means you're failsafing, you're losing link. It's weird because you have the goggles 2 and the RC2, so if you didn't lose video, I don't know how you would lose the control link. Right, Plenty? Do you agree? I know neither you nor I are really an expert on this, but like, sanity check me here. With the RC2 and the V2 goggles, no. With the RC2, the link goes through the goggles. With the RC1, the link goes direct to the air unit, is my remembrance.
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't know that, if that's the case.
I believe that's the case with the RC2. So I would then the failsafe has to be between the air unit and the flight controller. Are you using fast S-Bus? If you're using fast S-Bus, maybe change to standard S-Bus? I don't know about that. It's a weird one. You shouldn't lose control link without losing video. You could also check the RSSI bars. We'll have separate RSSI bars for video and control. Is like somehow your control RSSI really low? Noopy420 says best goggles for HD and analog in one goggle. HDZero goggles. He says HDZero and analog preferably. No question, you are the perfect customer for the HDZero goggles with the analog module adapter. And it says, would be nice for Walksnail to be included. Yeah, more power to you. Walksnail, get a Walksnail standalone. A standalone Walksnail receiver and mount it on the front. Has anybody got a 3D print for the HDZero goggles? The shell of the HDZero goggles is publicly available. Has anybody got a 3D print for the HDZero goggles that mounts an analog module, not like in a janky way off the side? Curious about that. Zach Ferris, thank you for a $5 super chat. Moonlight versus other low light cameras. Zach, the Caddx Moonlight is not a low light camera. I don't know why they called it the Moonlight. It is not, I mean, it's better low light than the DJI O4, but that's not hard. The Moonlight is not a good low light camera. It's at best a mediocre low light camera. But if you look at actual low light cameras, like the Walksnail Pro camera, which is from the Walksnail system, it's their own dang camera. The Walksnail Pro camera, the DJI, the Runcam Polar camera, true low light cameras. They blow the Moonlight away. I don't know why they marketed the Moonlight as a low light camera. The selling point of the Moonlight was the 4K onboard recording. I'm talking myself into a... So why the hell did they call it Moonlight? They shouldn't have called it that. It's a very mediocre low light camera. If you want 4K onboard recording, get the Moonlight. If you want a good low light camera and you're using a GoPro for your recording, get the Walksnail Pro camera, the Pro V2. Very, very good low light performance on the Pro V2. Nick Zah, thank you for a 10 euro super chat. Is there a better way to mount my diversity receiver antennas on the drone? Where does the buzzer go? I'm a little confused. Building my first 6S drone on the Pirat Frames Punch. For mounting the receiver antennas, my recommendation is that you go to Thingiverse and search for the word license to drive. License to drive. And this guy, his actual username is Haku3D. Ridwan Hughes is his actual human name. And he makes a ton of mounts for receivers. And so I'll just type the word diversity here. Shut the hell up. I take that back. He's got a ton of mounts. I know he's got diversity mounts.
If you scroll up to the very top of that, okay.
What?
The list you were just at, when you just were searching, it showed a diversity. It's just -D. There you go, this middle one.
R24-D. That's the receiver, though. That's for the receiver, not the antenna. Does he want to mount the receiver? No, he wants the antenna.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, you're on the right track. I mean, like here we go. Tracer dual horizontal antenna mount. That would work for you. This one will probably work pretty well. The great thing about these mounts is they print flat, they fold over, they're super easy and fast to print. They're really smart designs. If you can't find a diversity mount that is going to work for you, then what you can do is you can just print 2 of like these mounts, right? Not this exact one because this is the Immortal T. Just print 2 of the vertical mounts and put it off 2 different standoffs. No problem. Where do you put the buzzer? I don't know. You have to solve that problem on your specific frame. You have to figure out where you can fit it. And if you can't fit it, then maybe you don't have a buzzer on that build. Like it's a unique puzzle on every build. 73FPV says I just changed out my 20x20 ESC and my quad muller 3.5. I learned how from you, sir. Thanks for that. Blunty 2024. No politics. Blunty, you want to run for office?
No. I have thought about running locally, but not
you
national.
seem like the type. Yeah. You seem like what we talk about? City council? Alderman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what are they called? County commissioner, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you seem like the type to start all kinds of good trouble at the county level. Yep.
on our last ballot, every single position is Republican unopposed. So there's opportunity.
That alone just makes you want to run just to be obnoxious,
Yeah.
right? Just so there's a D on the ballot. People are going to be surprised to learn. Oh, well, we're talking politics now. We've swung dangerously close to talking about politics. All right. Let's. I'm gonna have to time you out, Plenty. I'm sorry. It's the policy. Leave a comment real quick so I can time you out. I'm gonna do it just to be hilarious. If I time you out, can you still moderate? Can I even time you out as a moderator? Okay, I'm gonna do Ciati just so I see. I'm gonna put. Can I put a moderator in timeout? Surely I can. Oh yeah, I can. Neat. All right. All right. Igor Goga, thank you for 1 Canadian peso. Igor asks, how do you solder the coax cable on an O3 air unit? Not the pads, but the cable itself. I did that in a regular way and lost signal at 200 meters. Igor, there's a specific way to solder a coax cable, and it's hard. On a teeny tiny little coax like the air unit, it's very hard. And if you're not very good at soldering, you will screw it up. And I don't want to be like, no, I believe in you. You can do anything if you try hard enough and watch enough YouTube videos and study. It's very hard. Is there, like... let's see if I can find... These are all much bigger. How to solder a UFL connector on a 5mm coaxial cable. Here we go. No, that's not right. Yeah, here's
Guys,
a very
it's
old
happened to all
video
of us.
from me.
You don't need to be ashamed. There's a fix. It's called the Tyrannus antenna mod, and I'm going to show you how to do it.
Oh, look at music.
The
and
first
shit.
thing to do whenever you're working on your Tyrannus is to take the battery out. You don't want anything energized while you're in there poking around with a screwdriver.
Listen to this
potentially
guy.
short something and damage something.
7 years ago.
The next thing you're going to do is you're going to flip the top switches away from yourself. And the reason for that is that when you open the
I'll
Tyrannus,
subscribe to this
the
guy's
switch may
channel.
fall out of the case. And if it does, then you won't know which way to put it back in, so it's facing the correct direction. If you flip all the top
Looks like
switches
you've
away
lost
from
weight in
yourself
your
before
hands.
you open the Tyrannus, then if one does
What's that? My hands look fat in that video?
fall out,
Yeah, they
then
kinda do.
which direction to put it back in again.
I mean,
And then
statistically, I was thinner then than I am
you're going to
now.
remove the 6 screws from the back
Like,
of the
just-
Tyrannus
I don't know.
and separate the halves of the case.
Maybe the stuff's in the
I'm
right
a little
places
bit rough here when I pull this
Oh.
open. I'm not as delicate as I should have been. I tried,
Look how
but
calm
I
he
failed.
sounds.
And you can also see that
He's not
the
arrogant
top
at all.
right switch, which I'm going to show you.
He
in
didn't
just
even
a
say
second
you're gonna
here,
learn something
it
today.
has gone with the back half of the case, which is here.
Okay.
So that,
So where's the
there's a little
solder?
nut that goes down over the top of the switch.
One thing stayed the same over the years. This is a 19-minute video. I still took way too long to get to the point, or just the right amount of time. All right, so
Some
check this
people
out.
install a UFL connector on their Tyrannus as part of this mod, but my perspective is that I'm probably never going to do this again. So the idea that I'm going to have a connector on there to plug and unplug, I'd rather just
Christ.
solder the coax
YouTube
myself.
keeps crashing, keeps running out of
soldering the
memory.
coax is pretty difficult, and it may be easier for you to solder on the UFL connector versus doing the coax. But I have heard some people say that soldering on the UFL connector, they get worse SWR, which is a measure of the quality of your antenna. So it's a toss.
why a knife and not a wire stripper? Because the wire stripper cuts the insulation accidentally. So you had to get just the tiniest little bite on the outer sheath and not
however
the
you decide to
braid.
do this, it's not going to be easy. So you just pick your poison, I suppose. You can see here I've removed the outer sheath of the coax. Well, you could see if my camera was in focus. Sorry about that. I've removed the outer sheath of the coax, and I'm folding back the wire braid, and I'm going to just twist the wire braid together into one little bundle. You want to make really sure that there are no spare wires, no little strands sticking out and not getting to be part of the bundle, because if any of those strands touch...
All right.
This requires a very, very fine touch and a sharper knife than I'm using, to be honest with you. You got to not cut the inner wire and just cut the sheath. I find just making a few little, almost indentations, almost scoring it, and then pulling it off with my fingernail seems to work the best. And here it is. You want about 1 millimeter of insulation between the braid, the folded back braid, and where the exposed center wire is. If you could get less than 1 millimeter, that'd be even better, but you want to make sure just an exposed length of center conductor is going to be a radiating element, and it's going to affect the antenna characteristics. The camera won't zoom in tight enough, etc., etc., etc. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to show you, this is a loop close-up of the finished joint, and you can see I feel okay about this. I don't love...
So we got to solder it down with the center wire here, the braid there. We got to not melt all this shit. We got to not cut these wires. It's hard. And most people aren't going to do it successfully. There you go. I keep crashing my drone and breaking stuff. Should I change my name to Try Once FPV? Nah. Just try again. Keep trying again. Just keep trying. You can do it. Tiola Void crashed to Caddx Loris in a rollover. Went to a black screen with OSD. Thought it was a busted lens. Now, lens wouldn't do black screen. A lens would just be a white, foggy screen. OSD for 2 seconds and locks up. It could be the MIPI cable. Well, it's hard to say. Black screen means no signal coming from the camera, so that could also be compatible, consistent with a MIPI cable. Yeah. Have you tried out the Emax Cinehawk Mini? I have not. Thank you for $5. Glad you love it. I'm glad you're happy. That's what really matters. Want VSO, thank you for a $5 super chat. Considering buying the Walksnail Avatar HD goggles for $225, the Caddx FPV Go Film 20, and a Radiomaster Pocket. Good setup? That's a solid setup. That's actually a pretty solid setup. You should know that the Avatar goggles will not be forwards compatible with whatever system Walksnail releases next, but knowing Walksnail, they won't release it for another 72 years, so you're not actually far behind the curve. Binkoro FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Insta360 Ace Pro or DJI Action 5 Pro. Oof. I've heard the DJI Action 5 Pro is pretty damn good, so I'm not super experienced with either of those cameras, but based on my, YouTube review watching, I would take the Action Pro. I'd give DJI another chance. Although the Ace is also supposed to be very good. I'd probably give the DJI a chance. Garrett Pickens. Long-range flying with ELRS 900, 50 hertz, 1 watt. I have full LQ and never lose signal, but I randomly get RX loss on the OSD telemetry packet rate issue or something else. You and Blunty are always great to help. Thank you for $10, Garrett Pickens. If you're getting RX loss in the OSD, that's not a telemetry issue. Because the OSD is showing what the flight controller sees. The flight controller is having RX loss. Telemetry is coming back the other way. So that's not it. That's a tricky one. If you have full LQ, then you shouldn't have any packet loss and certainly not enough to get RX loss.
LQ was generated by the receiver. So LQ is a stat generated by the receiver and sent over the wire. But RX loss is a generated symptom of losing signal. So it could be a wiring issue or something leaking into the wire, or like a ground into the wire, leaking some of the signal out or something like that. So you're getting intermittent signal loss, not enough to affect Betaflight, because Betaflight's going to take some time to kick you off, right? It's not getting a fail-safe signal from the receiver, which would be a set amount of time from ELRS. It's going to wait, the Betaflight, wait at timeout, right?
So,
do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, Betaflight, if it stops getting, well, no, because the receiver has, let's say that the signal wire breaks. Okay, so the fail-safe bit flag in the packets is irrelevant. Betaflight will realize at some point that the packet rate is too low. It's not getting packets, and it'll RX loss.
Right, but if it's one every however often, it may be enough to get RX loss on the screen, like flash it, but not long enough to actually kick off the failsafe, right? That's
Captain Bry is suggesting something similar, Blunty, that if he's got his telemetry rate turned up super high, like let's say he's got a 1/2 telemetry rate, well now his packet rate is only 25 hertz. Which may be right on the edge of what causes Betaflight to say, hey, we're not getting enough packets. Set your telemetry rate to standard if you haven't already done that, so that it'll auto scale to the packet rate and not be too high. Or set your telemetry rate like 1/32 or 1/64 or something, so that your telemetry slows down, and see if that fixes it. That's valid. I mean, who would know better than Captain Bry?
Also, just in case, this could be a random bug on a random version, so make sure you update it. Because you're getting this issue, I would go ahead and update the receiver.
I mean, that's valid. If you're not on the latest version of ELRS, you may as well update. Oh, yeah, I'm on ELRS 1.9. Oh. Yeah. Ben Norris wants to know, HDZero goggles or SkyZone Sky O4O Pro? For analog? Thinking of SkyZone with a Walksnail VRX. Well, if you're thinking of SkyZone with a Walksnail VRX, then you have no intention of running HDZero, at which point I don't think you should buy the HDZero goggles. You should buy the SkyZone with a Walksnail VRX. I think the HDZero goggles are only a clear win if you're at least intending to run HDZero some of the time. Okay, and we are finally caught up. Only about an hour later. That's usually how it goes. We'll now take some more questions from the non-super chatting people. Joshua Bardwell, with regard to your site, will the 3.5-inch page be back? I am actually in the process of doing a complete redesign of my website. I wish I could show you guys. I don't think I can show you guys the mock-ups, because the mock-ups were shared with me in a Zoom call with the dev who's doing the work, and I don't actually think I have the link to them. So perhaps we'll just have to take my word for it. I don't even know how to use Upwork. Messages. There we go. This guy give me a link? Oh, I'm not logged into the right account. Wow. All right. Well, I'm not going to waste any more of your time with it. So all of the pages will be back, and a complete redesign of the website somewhere around the end of November. And in the meantime, I'm not doing any more updates to the website. I'm being told that I already wasn't updating the website. No, I'm joking. One of the things I'm doing in the redesign is developing I'm not developing it. I'm paying someone to develop it. A custom backend that will make it easier for me to manage the contents. So I'm hoping that'll help make the updates more easier to do and more frequenter. And also just a whole new, updated, professionally designed website instead of something that I hacked together in Squarespace 5 years ago. So look forward to that. I've been tempted to say, well, look, the current website is really dated feeling. There's a lot of text on there that maybe should have been updated. You know, there's stuff that's a little out of date. There's errors that need to be fixed. And I think, well, maybe I should just like take it offline until a month from now when the web. And then I'm like, that clearly is the wrong decision. So we'll just sort of, let that keep on trundling along, being as useful as it is. And then, we'll have a big launch for the new website. It's not literally Squarespace anymore, Super Deluxe. It was Squarespace. Now it's not. My Radio Master Pocket constantly vibrates. What battery range do I set for the Samsung INR 18650 blah 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 batteries. The default battery range should be fine. What I think I would set something like 3.5 as the warning, or 7 volts if you need a voltage. Maybe 6.8 volts as the warning. The defaults should be fine. Why is it vibrating? Is it vibrating because of the battery or something else? Well, those batteries aren't special. Mr. Lawless, this is the kind of question that can't really easily be troubleshot on a live stream, because I have to ask you a bunch of questions and you have to give me a bunch of answers and a bunch of pictures. If you have a question like this, I encourage you to email me and I will try to work it through with you. Like, my flight controller is wired to my receiver, but I'm not getting input. That's the kind of thing better handled over email. My email address is jb@joshuabardwell.com, and you can just email that, and we'll try to work through it. If I saved a CLI file from a quad and need to replace the flight controller, can I use that same file for another brand of flight controller? No. You can't just copy it in, but there are parts of it you can reuse. Like, you can reuse the aux modes. That's transferable. You can reuse the rate profile. That's transferable. But if you don't know what those parts are, it's better to just set it up from scratch. Carson says, I'm looking to buy an iFlight Nazgul Evoke soon. Likely going to be around 660 grams with the battery. What weight should I not exceed? I mean, Carson, my preference for a 5-inch is to stay under around 750 grams. You're not going to hit that weight with an action camera, though. Not unless you get a really lightweight action camera that's going to compromise image quality, which maybe you're willing to do. I think that what most people would do in that situation is they would buy a GoPro. They would come in around 200 grams, and their total weight would be 860 grams. That's a chunky boy. That's a heavy quadcopter, and it's going to definitely affect the way it flies. But you already are where you are, right? So could you use a lighter battery? Yes. You could go down to an 1100 milliamp hour and save a few grams. There's other things you can do. The bottom line, though, is that Nazgul Evoke is setting you in a certain weight class by virtue of its own weight. And without going to a completely different build, you're going to be in the 800-ish gram range with any action camera, unless you again get something like a Runcam Thumb and really save weight, which you could do. I don't know what my problem is today.
I think you are still sick.
It's because I was fine all day. It's because it's getting late. The body is ready to go to bed. And I'm talking a lot. I was fine all day. I swear to God. Almost no coughing. Let's keep going. Thank you for this question from Raivi on the Discord. Wow. Are there any other things I can do to get rid of video signal interference? I moved the camera from the 5-volt power pad directly to the VTX. Added redundant ground. Moved battery cables as far away as possible. Capacitor. Big capacitor. Single biggest thing you can do to improve your video. Big capacitor.
Wasn't there also some old tip that was like, didn't we used to do the thing where you wire the grounds in a different way or something?
He's got duplicate grounds. There's another argument that removing ground loops makes it better. I'm not sure.
He added a redundant ground. Okay, but the old thing was to remove it and only have it like, where you needed it.
Presumably, the things he's doing are making it better.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Big capacitor would be where I would start. Like 1,000 microfarads. That's where I would start. He's got 1,000 capacitor. Something else is up. Something else is up. How much noise do you have? Do you have a DVR of the noise, Ravi? Put it in the Discord if you have DVR of the noise. I want to see it. I want to see it. You can tell a lot about the noise in an analog system by just looking at it.
Like, does it follow throttle?
That's what I'm curious about. Is the Flyfish RC dual band antenna for the DJI O3 in a Diatone Roma L5? You mean, does the Diatone Roma come with the Flyfish antenna? Can you even buy a Diatone? Didn't Diatone go out of business? Oh my gosh, I give up. I quit. I can't believe it. It's getting worse. It doesn't... Antenna, no. Mamba Ultra right hand... You're not seeing this. No, the Diatone Roma L5 doesn't have the Flyfish antenna. Wow. Okay. Cool. I was doing so good today, too. Svetlin Simoniov. Which one is the proper ELRS telemetry to look for link quality on my TX1 RSS? Well, RSS is not link quality, so it's none of those. It's RQLY. RQLY is what you're looking for. That's the one. TQLY is the uplink telemetry LQ from the receiver to the hand controller for the telemetry link, which doesn't affect your range at all. It just affects when you lose telemetry. L. Brinkerhoff, no, I do not think a 5-inch freestyle drone can do just as good for mountain cinematic shots. No, you need minimum 7 inches, maybe 6 inches, but 5 inches is over the line. You will not get the endurance that you need, and the smaller drone will have a harder time in the wind. I think you need to be thinking 7 to 10 inches is where you would want to be for mountain cinematic shots. And I know there's guys out there who do it on 6 inches and think that's like the sweet spot between 5-inch acro and yeah, but I think 7 inches is where I recommend you be. Is there an acceptable range for battery storage voltage? 3.80 is the answer. There seems to be mixed opinions. Unless you're talking about different battery chemistry, like there's lithium iron phosphate, and there's other battery chemistries that have different storage voltages. But for a lithium polymer battery, 3.8 volts is the storage voltage. I don't think there's any real debate about that. Mupshot says 385 is typical for high volt packs. I don't agree. I don't believe that. I think manufacturers made that up. I could be wrong. Bear in mind that a high volt pack is not a different chemistry. It's just a lithium polymer battery or lithium polymer battery that has had things done to it to prevent it from taking damage when it goes to 4.35 volts. But it's fundamentally still a lithium polymer chemistry, and I think its storage voltage is 3.80 if you actually look at the manufacturer. I feel like the 385 is just they just were like, well, the maximum voltage is higher, I guess the storage must be higher, but I don't know that for sure. If GNB said it, I mean, GNB knows what they're talking about, I guess. But so let's say that for high volt packs it's 385, for lithium polymers it's 380, and that's just it. Oh, I'm gonna have to. What is it? 15 minutes to 10. I don't know if I'm doing anybody a favor by just sitting here sniffling for 15 minutes. Who makes better chili, Madstech or me? I have not had Madstech's chili, but Madstech is from Wales, and I'm from goddamn Tennessee. And Tennessee is not known for its chili, but I'll take chili from damn near any place in America over chili from Wales. Am I mistaking? Am I like missing the fact that Wales is like secretly known for its chili? I don't think so. I mean, no offense to Wales. You make a lot of cool things. I can't think of any Welsh cuisine at all. What is Welsh cuisine even? Welsh cuisine. Like, what's traditional dish of Wales? Meat and fish. That doesn't... No. What do we got here? Like a stew. A good stew? Sure, that seems... Some scones? All right. Rarebit? Sure. I believe that there's good food that comes out of Wales. What?
You see that image of... Hold on, I'll share it, actually. I forgot what
Okay. Okay. But none of it is chili, is my point. Stew? Not chili. So I just don't see how Madstech could make better chili than me. If I search for Welsh chili, am I going to find out that secretly Wales has chili? A tradition? No. No. So, I mean, I don't even make chili. But just, you ask, who makes better cheese? Me or a French guy? With a French guy. Right? That's their thing. And I make better chili than Madstech. I don't want anybody to take this as a disrespect of Welsh food or Madstech's cooking. But there's just right?
Put an image in the Discord if you want to share that.
Right? Is this a real thing?
Yes.
No, this is a joke.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it is, but
I don't know.
I died.
Those two things don't even... Yeah, anyway. All right. Alrighty. Yosforos, so this has to do with the target having the correct drivers loaded. I would want to verify the target. And then what you can do as a long shot is verify that you've got the correct target selected, 100%. Then flash it with core only selected and go to the CLI and type status, and it'll show all the drivers that were loaded, including the barometer driver, if such thing successfully loaded. And then you'll know what driver the barometer requires. At which point you can come back here and you can type the correct custom define for your driver, which I don't know what that would be. But that would be the short version of how to get around that problem. And if you want to work on that some more, you message me in the Discord. DM me on Discord, and I'll talk you through it. All right. Do we have any more super chats, Plenty? No. All right. Well, I'm going downhill fast, so I think we're going to end the live stream early. Yosfro says the driver for the onboard Oh, you have an external barometer. Ooh, that's a tricky one. Can you disable the barometer somehow to force it to use the external one?
Is the selection in CLI is just I2C, isn't it? When you like pick the barrow, so it'll be the same. You know what I mean? It's just like you can't select it in the CLI.
There has to. Can you force the driver to not load for the other? Yeah. I don't know about that, man. If there are multiple barometers, can you select one? That's a real edge case, dude. That's a real edge case. I'll tell you what.
addresses.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. Okay, check this out, Yost Feroz. Barrow I2C device equals 1. That presumes that you can tell it which I2C device you want it to use. What you got to do is change this number one at a time until your second barometer starts working. Hey, give it a try.
This is supposed to be the Magic I2C, so hopefully it works because you're supposed to be able to put stuff on the same line.
should both- they should both work.
Device value. Yeah.
But Betaflight will only use one at a time. Yeah, give that a try.
Also, I don't know if this will help, but there is a Barrow hardware there. I don't know if that. I guess it matters because it'll do the I2C selection because it's looking at the I2C address or the device and then
Yeah,
picking the hardware. Based on that. So,
I think that if you were to set this wrong,
yeah,
I
just
don't think
more.
that setting this would cause this to auto-select. I think you need to set this index correctly and then just let it auto-load the driver. This setting is if for some reason it can't auto-load the driver. But I think auto should always work. Anyway, Yost Feroz, this is where I would start playing and see if you can make it work. I think that'll work. All right. Delta Foxtrot, we talked about the O4 at the very, very beginning of the stream. Thank you for your $2 donation. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I felt great all day. I still feel great, but I am obviously sneezing and sniffling, and I don't want to torture you any longer. So we're going to call it, and Aaron Ciotti is going to start streaming, probably a little early, maybe. And he'll be testing a whole bunch of KVs on his Mosquito toothpick. That sounds like something I would have done years ago. Back when I had a calm, soothing voice and wasn't arrogant. Young, bright-eyed. So excited to talk people through the process of soldering on a... Every little thing was exciting, and now look at me. Just sitting here, reacting. Just watching other people's content and reacting to it, stealing their views. Soldering on a... Every little thing was exciting, and now look at me.
To this guy.
Just sitting here, reacting. yeah. What he said. Just watching other people's content and reacting to it, stealing their views.
Heavy garlic.
Yeah.
To this guy.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
Good night, everybody.